Week 4 in the Always Sunday Football League, where we can consider ourselves lucky to have some incredible storylines unfolding. Will Stillwater lose a game, and if so, when? Will the Chump win a game, and if so, how? Are the Golden Showers beginning to feel the weight of the crown? Is anyone getting worried about the new teams in town? Can anyone top the new high weekly score? Are you giving up yet, or are you hungry for more? In this week's episode, we take a look at the results and standings as things begin to take shape. We'll highlight a pretty obvious hero and a pretty surprising GOAT, and we'll talk about some hard truths and take a look ahead at next week's games. But first, let's welcome our panel. Danny, how you doing in the new digs? Looks nice over there.
Better than my team.
Fair enough. Anthony, how's it going?
It's great. Hey, listen, I love and appreciate the bars you just spit right there, my friend. And I have an answer for one of those questions.
Interesting. John, how's it going?
Hard pills to swallow over here.
Yeah, John's going to be taking some of those hard pills. Before we get into our first segment, I'll just do a little fun announcement. Before we get into Not What You Want, we have 2 Comeback of the Year of the Week nominees. Jonathan Taylor, potentially coming back from his holdout / injury / PUP, whatever we want to call it. And Cooper Kupp, potentially coming back from his IR stint. His 21, both of these players' 21-day practice windows have been open, so they have to be activated or in the next 3 weeks, or they are out for the season. And that is not what you want. So, okay, in this week's Not What You Want segment, we're going to talk about I got it. Yes. In this week's Not What You Want segment, we're going to talk about a couple of 0-4 starts. Okay, that would be the 2023 Chump and Pretty Boy Jonny. And a couple of 1-3 starts featuring the Golden Showers, who are the defending champion, and Team Blumpkin, who is surprisingly the lowest scoring team in the league. Jonny, 0-4. How are you feeling?
Not good at all. I'll be bringing that up a little bit later about me, but not where you want to be. I have a key guy coming back. Unfortunately, I got some unfortunate buys coming up as well. Some Keenan Allen, and the window is closing for playoff opportunities. So you need to get it together.
Fair enough. That's true. The window is closing, and you do need to get it together. Danny, are you still with us? You look a little frozen. How's it going there? I can hear you. Go. How's it going at 1-3 right now after 4 weeks? How are we feeling?
Not great. But still the timeline. So we're not hitting them now, but it's not exactly where you want to be.
And, I was surprised to see, as I mentioned briefly, that we have 2 0-4 teams and 2 1-3 teams. And actually, it's Team Blumpkin that has the fewest points scored in the league. So that was a little bit of a surprise to me. I expected, maybe it's silly to expect this, but I presumed one of the 0-4 teams might have the fewest points scored in the league. But in fact, it's Team Blumpkin. So we got a bottom 4 right now of teams that really need to make a move. They really need to figure something out. And that wraps up Not What You Want. Nope. That is not what you want. But I'll tell you what also is not what you want. That might not be something that Danny wanted. His high score mark, the Golden Showers high score mark this week stood for exactly 1 week. The highest score in the league stood for 1 week as the Kirk Stillwater gang exploded for 213.72 points in week 4. The league got to see what could happen if Stillwater actually gets production from the running back position. With David Montgomery's career day scoring 37.1 points and Isaiah Pacheco pouring on 29.8 on Sunday night, Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews, Puka Nacua all had great days, and Stillwater cruised to 4-0, winning by over 105 points over the Golden Showers. Daniel, comment?
It makes me feel a little better knowing how good of a week I had. I probably wasn't going to win.
Fair
So,
enough.
I mean, either I play the highest score or I am the highest score. That's been the season so far. So,
Gotcha.
but this week, I mean, 213. What are you going to do?
Reporting
Yeah.
from the emotional roller coaster. That's Daniel
Yeah.
from the Golden
Sometimes you
Showers.
just get ran over.
As impressive as the win and record are after 4 weeks, Stillwater still has room on the roster for improvement following another disappointing Daniel Jones performance and just 1.4 points from Chris Olave, begging the question of whether we've seen Stillwater's final form yet. Standing alone as the last undefeated team in the league, who will, by the way, go to 5-0 next week, and the league leader in points scored after a monster performance, the Kirk Stillwater gang is this week's hero. And now, before we move on to the other games, we go live to Jonny down there in Florida for his comments following up on last week regarding Kirk Stillwater and this game's outcome. Jonny?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kurt Stillwater is 100% the best team in the league, hands down, and the team could be so much better if he could simply just swap out a decent quarterback. This team is watch out. I don't think that this team is going to have no less than 3 losses in the season. My predictions right now, he has earned my respect. This guy is heading straight for the championship, and I don't see him stopping anytime soon. It's only going to get better for him.
There it is. Jonny calling it now. Championship for the Stillwater gang. That sounds pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I guess we'll see what happens. John, it's very big of you. It's very big of you. Hey, Danny. Danny, this week we had a thriller between Sweep the Leg and the Beer Muscles. Did we not?
Yeah. I mean, thriller is a good word. Our second and third highest scores of the week. And really, outside of Sam, it was a pretty low scoring week outside of, one person. But, I mean, this is really the only other game that had much scoring. I'm not even sure if anybody broke like 140. Maybe they did on the Monday night game, but it was a good game. Bobby was a little bit more spread out with his points, but you get 100 plus points from 3 people and you win most of the time.
Yeah.
Lamar, AJ, and Williams. Off you go. Big week, big W for you, Dave.
I'll take it.
Yeah, he needed it. He had a pretty good week too.
Yeah. It happens very often that the only person who would have beat you is the one who did beat you. Luckily I was on the good side of it this time. Both teams' records end up at 2-2, and it was a pretty strong showing, as Danny mentioned, by both teams. Hey, John, That's What She Said faced off against Team Blumpkin this week. What did you see?
Yeah, so both teams were 1-2, but I just saw a absolute nuclear performance from Josh Allen with 41.5 points against that Miami Dolphins defense. I've been telling people that defense is sus. All right, it's definitely sus. While that's so with with that being said, Jalen Hurts had a respectable 29.16 points against the Commanders defense. What I'm really surprised about this one is how bad Ron Rivera's defense is just not responding. They're just not good. They're not, and they got exposed for sure. So I thought that was really, really key. But some other points here is Blumpkin had Algier and Madison for a combined 13 points. Ugh, gross. Um, while Will had ETN and Swift go for 28.1. Okay. The wide receivers were not very a big margin. For Blumpkin, it was 32.3, while Will just had 45.1. Not very thrilling stats at all. However, I am going to point out one thing about Blumpkin. You know how I feel about starting two tight ends. I just don't like that. I'm not a big fan of it. And you started a combined 17.9 points. Not a big fan of starting the tight ends, while Hawkinson, very surprisingly, a measly 4.0, just a straight bad game. We know who he is. He's a good tight end. But I did want to point out a couple of things as mentioned. Blumpkin is the lowest scoring team in the league, and that's really bad with 27 points, 0.96 points, while that's what you said is the third lowest scoring team in the league with only 493.32 points. And both these teams need to figure it out before it's too late. I'm going to even do a suggestion. You need to start sending out some trades, man, for sure.
Yeah, this was the lowest scoring team in the league overall versus the lowest scoring winning team this week. All the other winning teams this week scored more. So it's just the same as Danny Mac's the matchup between Sweep the Leg and Beer Muscles. That if these two teams played anybody else, they probably both lose. Anthony, I know you had your eye on the honorable hero mention for this week.
Yes.
Taking on a guy who's making some questionable roster decisions.
Yes, I think this was a juicy matchup,
Which is what?
it was the 3-0 Run CMC versus the Drunken Bums. The matchup final score was 146.3 to 139.28, so a very, very close game. They both put up respectable numbers. The Anthony Richardson went off just shy of 30 points. Tua, as we know, went against the Bills, and they had a lackluster day. And even on the bum side, has Javonte Williams go down with scoring just under 4 points. Fryermuth going down just under 4 points. Debo Samuel, where they were like, oh, he's going to play, and he's like, I'll run the ball once, and then doesn't go out with under a point.
Decoy Samuel.
Yeah. So you're sitting here, and Run CMC is biting his nails, and then Christian McCaffrey does what he does, and just like, I'm going to be the entire offense and put up a 51.7. He does have Kamara with his first game back, scored 21.4. I've been trying to trade with him. He's not answering. And then he has T. Higgins, who goes down, scoring just under 4. Addison, goose egg. We all know Kirk. That was just a bad showing for the Vikings that day. But what was juicy about this is going into Monday night, the Bums had a lead of about 25 points. CMC has Metcalf and Waller. And with the way the Giants, atrocious, have been playing, you would assume that Metcalf could have got that on his own.
And it started the game almost immediately with a touchdown.
Right. And by the end of the game, musters up 17 and change between the two and loses. And the luck where we said that it was Stillwater, I think is a little bit more on the CMC side. Very, strong running backs for sure, but he's had some lucky matchup, where you're going against somebody at their kind of lower end week. But we'll see what it happens here. But this was a exciting one. It made Monday night a little more exciting because the Giants didn't.
You know what I was excited about going into the weekend, but I didn't think was actually exciting when it happened. It was, the Sizzler facing off against the 2023 Chump. This is our GOAT runner-up, obviously, being the Chump who scored, like 70-something points in this one. Lowest scoring team of the week. He could go 0-14 this year, legitimately. The Sizzler did fine. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. He basically had no opponent this week, but the Sizzler put up a fine score. So the Sizzler was triumphant there, going to 3-1. And as I mentioned, still winless is Luis. But this week's GOAT, PBJ, dropped a brutal must-need game this week to the Gotham Rogues, 131.86 to 120.1. This loss drops PB&J to 0-4. you
Doing
wish
like that.
you wish you were 0, you were 4-0, and leaves them in last place in the J Chuck division. John was able to capture Terry McLaurin's best game of the year, but players like Aaron Jones, Cortland Sutton, JSN, Tutu Atwell, and the Steelers defense put up disappointing to bad scores in this underwhelming performance. PBJ is now 9th in the league in total points scored and is ahead of only the unserious Luis in the standings. And for that, PBJ is this week's GOAT. That's you, John. So do you have any comment real quick on the goatiness of your team right now?
The team is just not performing right now. Needed to do some roster moves. Maybe could have won the first week if I didn't make my trade, but things happened and ended up being Keenan Allen ended up being pretty good. But just simple, luck not going my way. Last year wasn't a thrilling team. Picked up Justin Fields and made my way to the championship, and sometimes the luck goes the other way. I don't think my team is the worst thing, but
John is this year's Minnesota Vikings. He's regressed to the mean, and now he's 0.
Yeah, you went from last year from picking up Fields to riding him to the championship to him as your keeper to dropping.
He dropped Fields unceremoniously, and now look at you. But you know what? At least you're accepting where you're at, and you're trying to do something about it. Those are sometimes some hard pills to swallow. Like thinking about things truthfully and talking about them truthfully to yourself. Hard pills to swallow, guys. We're going to go through a couple of difficult truths in the league, and as we go through them, if there's one of them that you feel that you can comment on, some of these were submitted by you, so if it was submitted by you, go ahead and jump in. The first hard pill to swallow, just a simple one, just to give everybody an idea of what we're talking about here, is that one day the Jaguars will stay in England. I know that it's difficult to accept, especially for a Jacksonville native like Jonny, a real Jaguars, true Jaguars lover. But one day, the truth is that the Jaguars will stay in England. You can the sooner you let it in, the sooner you'll be able to accept it. Here's a hard truth, Danny. Why don't you talk about this one? Joe Burrow is not a fantasy starter. Where are you at with this?
Right now, he is certainly not a fantasy starter. Nobody on that team outside of Chase is a fantasy starter, I don't think, right now. They look awful.
Thank you for sharing.
Not even good. Scored 3 points.
Yeah, it's been awful. It's sad to say, but
he had like 2 fantasy points against like the 74th fucking rushing and like passing defense in the league.
Yeah, not
so
good.
Not encouraging.
Nope.
But I think he's hurt still.
Oh, he's going to be hurt for a while. Here's a hard pill to swallow. Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map. Have you heard about this? Nobody knew who this bum Travis Kelce was until he started dating Taylor Swift. She put him on the map, and that's tough.
The guy from the Eagles, brother, right?
So Travis Kelce, welcome to stardom, buddy. Here's one, John. Devon Achane is the running back 4, and his now. You consider him largely proven. Can you not? What do you think, John?
For the last 2 weeks, absolutely. We'll see. These next 2 weeks, he has some juicy matchups against the Giants, as well as the Carolina Panthers. But I did want to do a hard pill to swallow. Let's do a hard pill to swallow with the drunken bums benching him the last 2 weeks when he went.
Well, the last 2 weeks, you can't beat him for the first week.
First time
he puts a 50. You flex that guy somehow. The dude puts up a 50 on a team that's been lighting it up. You flex him somehow.
There's got to be a player in your lineup that.
Yeah, there's got to be. But what I'm saying is that that's just simply just not paying attention. Like if a guy blew up, I'm gonna throw him there. So
there we
that's the
I was
reason
trying to
why.
look. I mean, matchup was against. I don't know what he was thinking, but hey,
I'm just saying, like
he
the
squeezed out.
defenses have been bad. Like if you look at the run defenses that Miami's playing against of recently, that's the reason why this guy is so valuable. These next 2 weeks, you got to start him. He's not even a flex option. He has to be your RB 1-2 in your lineup. It's just the matchups there. He's on fire right now, and you gotta get this guy in your lineup. And that's the reason why I'm going to say a hard pill to swallow is Drunken Bums. You need to start this guy, put him in your lineup because he's going to win you some damn weeks.
No, don't start him. I'll trade him to me.
Hey guys, wide receivers are just small now.
Tiny.
They are.
They're very
just,
small.
Very little.
they're just small now. They're just these tiny little dudes that just run around. I mean, Tyreek Hill is not a big dude, and the list of rookie receivers who are tiny goes on and on and on. And they're producing. They're just small now, and we have to deal with that. It's one of them. It's one of the ones that's like
Listen, it's like the Wes Welkers, you know, like they just
Gets me every
tiny
time.
little guys and get some targets.
Yeah.
Your Julian Edelman's
Until Marvin Harrison next year.
Till Marvin Harrison. Yeah, next year there's a couple of really good guys. Neighbors.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
Hey guys, did you know that the round you drafted a guy doesn't matter anymore?
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
Please,
thank you.
The entire fantasy world needs to like really take this in. Oh, but I drafted him in the first round. Okay, but he's producing like a last round guy, my guy. God.
Yeah, none of that stuff matters anymore. We're going into week 5 right now. So, live in the now,
Bro.
man.
Bro,
Live in the now.
but I bought my car and it was 30,000.
Exactly. Love it. Did you know this one's hard for people to understand sometimes, just how good he is? Christian McCaffrey is an alien. It's tough for people to understand that. He's just an alien that came from a fantasy football planet to just dominate every single week in and week out. He's 2 players on your team all the time. It's a hard pill to swallow, but this dude, if you see him across the lineup from you, if you see him across the matchup, it's never a good time. Hey, Anthony, Danny, I got a tough pill for you to swallow. The Giants are trash. They just stink.
I already swallowed that pill.
Anthony, how are you doing with it?
Yeah, I guess same. You know, it's crazy to just watch how this shit happens. You know, what they did last year with less and now got more, and they're doing horrible.
How do you feel about that paying Daniel Jones all that money?
I said it pre-doing. I said they should have. I would have rather them tagged him. This guy, you held that on your 5th-year option. All right, he did prove himself that year. Okay, but like everybody proves themselves on money-making year. Let me see what he could do now. Let me put some receivers. We're gonna do this team. Let me go one more year, and then you could have. Yeah. Anyway,
Danny, where are you on Daniel Jones, real quick?
I mean, it doesn't look great. I mean, the money, whatever. It was like the same money Gino got, like 3-year, whatever, 112. But tagging him would have been nice. I just don't think they could afford to tag him.
It's a large lump sum.
Well, yeah, the cap hit this year wouldn't have worked.
Here's a hard pill for somebody to swallow. Luis needs to make a trade to survive. John, you got anything on this one?
Yeah, the first thing is stop talking trash in the chat and start making some moves, buddy. All right. Luis only has 442.4 points for the entire season, which is second lowest in the league. My goodness.
Danny Mac last week and then Stillwater this week. They're about that.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like, and your only trade pieces are Tyreek Hill and Calvin Ridley. Like, like you're holding on to these guys. These are the only guys that got. It's like
and you know what? Ridley's been looking a little. He's been producing less than.
That offense doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. If you just run through somebody's face, a lot of people ain't going to be able to take that over and 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 over again. That's a hard pill to swallow. It's true, though.
It is.
Pretty boy Johnny is getting eaten alive by the regression monster. Pretty boy Johnny rode Justin Fields on a magical unicorn rainbow bridge all the way through the regular season into the championship game where he was soundly beaten. Johnny, how's that regression monster treating you, buddy? I know we talked about it. I'm sorry to harp on it, but you're 0-4, pal, and you're just reeling right now.
Yeah, I actually want to whip out some stats right now. PBJ currently right now is the 4th lowest scoring team in the league with 500.78 points, while he is also ranked with the fourth highest points scored against with 547.02 points. Not ideal with being the 4th lowest scoring while having the 4th highest points scored against you. Not a recipe for
killing it on the fours,
winning.
bro.
So on the fours, buddy. So just simply not what you want. And this is a must-win team, or else I predict that the season is over for the PBJ.
Oh wow, you're calling a must-need right here in week 5?
Yeah, if
God
this is
damn.
What is it, like 6 losses, and you're like,
Well, there's 14 weeks in the regular season, so 6 losses gives you 8 wins. That's still a +2 record. You could get into the playoffs.
No, you get it.
Yeah,
He'll probably be 1-7-17. Get it.
Yeah, it's something like that. This year we talked about it. There's no, I mean, it looks like Jay, Stillwater's pretty strong, but as far as haves and have-nots, it's pretty flat. It's pretty flat out there. Ignoring the waiver wire and trades is bad team management. This is a tough one. I think a lot of people have a hard time with.
Thank you.
Anthony, you got anything on this?
Yes. This is huge. Everybody, especially with trades. There's not a team that has ever drafted their team and rode that thing out without trading or waivers, or being successful in waivers, which is
Danny Mac.
So.
Danny Mac did that last year for the most part, but it's very hard to do. Yeah,
very rare that you literally pick
one time in 10 years.
He literally picked the winners throughout the draft, like the Jacobs pick and things like that. But that is extremely hard, as well as starting 2 tight ends. Right, that's the same thing. It's bad. The bad management. You don't really win unless you're drafting like you got Kelsey and Andrews, but then you just kind of set yourself up for failure anyway. But you gotta, especially in Fab, you got money, fam. Break it down into percentages on how much you should spend and how much you need. And you got a guy and you just lost a guy, you got to go get a guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the first part's a lot worse because you're not giving up anything of value. Like you're giving up money that doesn't exist.
Like Narc lost an RB, but he wasn't the loot. He dropped 101 beans to go get a guy.
Yeah,
you have to try.
That's why Narc's consistently always in the playoffs. My man's a silent ninja. He makes his moves. He doesn't talk to anybody. He barely trades, but he makes the killer waivers and rides his wave.
Tanny, what do you got on this?
Yeah, I think, like I said, but I mean, especially the waiver wire. You're going to finish the season with $147 or your $150 budget left. Like, it's one thing. Like, even in Lou's case, I'm not sold that trading Tyreek Hill is going to make his team better. Because his only path to victory is Tyreek Hill going off. And I don't think being 0-4 and everyone knows he's your only tradable piece, you're not going to get value for him. So maybe you are better off holding him and see what else you can pull. But you have to drop money on him. You have to do something.
No, I mean, I think he could still get a 3-for-1 deal where it gives him.
But if you drop money the first 4 weeks on the waiver wire, you might not be in the position to have to trade only player value. That's what I mean. The waiver wire, like trades, I can get because you have to give up something in value in order to receive it. The wire is not that. And as you get farther into the season, why are you holding on to? You're worried about getting outbid. It's week 7. Right. Week 8, you get down the road. Like, how much money can you hold on?
You're 0-4. Go ahead.
Is the guy that's on IR on your team and you don't and you don't drop the guy that's an IR and that's going to miss the
Well,
season.
be more
let's
specific.
yeah, exactly.
IR, like I have Cup IR. I'm not an asshole.
I have Deontay
But
Johnson.
if you're Deontay Johnson, but if you saw
Clearly,
what happened to
If a guy who's out, if a guy who's out for the season,
the year,
just put it that
yeah.
way. If the guy's
Put it
out
for
for
the
the season, he should be off your team.
he's off
Yeah.
immediately, wasting a roster spot.
Anthony jumped ahead a little bit, but starting 2 tight ends is almost never a good idea. That's just we're just
Bad.
schooling. We're just schooling people right now. We're schooling people right now.
Never it's the same thing. It's like you drafting the perfect team. It's like a 2% chance.
And finally, we learned that Zach Wilson is better than Patrick Mahomes. I don't think there's any argument to that. I think it's pretty clear and obvious. The end.
I had a one quick one. I thought when you said it, and it just came to me as we were talking. When you said, Joe Burrow, not fantasy starter.
Sure.
This is a person that I think you have to bench. Kyle Pitts, sir.
Kyle Pitts. I mean, that's a
can't-
popular one. There's if we went and picked over, there's probably a handful of people.
I get it,
out
right.
there.
Like Joe
I don't
Burrow's
wanna-
a harder pill to swallow, but these people with the Kyle Pitts train have been hard trying to not swallow it all last year and this year.
But I think the argument would be you can go get a quarterback who can put up some points and probably score Burrow. There's not much
Yeah, the replacement value
out
for
there.
Pitts isn't
the comparison from Titan, yeah.
There's just nothing. If you don't, it's like Kelsey Andrews, and then Laporta.
Thank
You
you.
got a couple guys. Yeah, there's your shout out. Musgrave looked good till he got hurt and ruined my fucking parlay.
Ferguson's looking all right.
But yeah, there's not much out there.
Tight end has been a waste.
What happened to Dallas Goedert? Remember when they used to throw to him all the time? And
Well, what happened was AJ Brown really got upset. Dave called in and was like, "Bro, this is fucking bullshit."
They haven't been using him all season. I think it's because of the new offensive coordinator that everything has been disjointed.
it's got. Why would you use him though? He's like 6'7" and can catch and fast.
No, it defies logic.
He's like
but
he's really good. They never throw him the ball.
you can't assume rational coaching.
No,
I think it's a new offensive coordinator trying to figure his way, and that's what AJ Brown got finally pissed off and he freaked out about it. But Dallas Goedert is obviously just not a freak out about it kind of guy. Key matchup time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it. The game of the week this week is between the Drunken Bums and the Gotham Rogues. This divisional rivalry is between 2, 3, and 1 teams. The Bums have had trouble with leaving points on the bench, but has had the fortune of facing the 4th fewest points against. The Rogues' stats suggest moderately stronger weekly performances against moderately stronger opponents. Ken Taylor, dealing with a few injuries in his lineup, finally pushed the right buttons for a monster week, or will Gotham continue to keep his head down and handle his business? I'm looking forward to this clash over the weekend. Johnny, which clash are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 2-2 sweep the leg versus the 1-3 Golden Showers. Former champions going at it, so it's always good to have history in the making. Sweep the leg had a get right game last week, while the Golden Showers tough loss against the Stillwater, but as Danny mentioned earlier, you rather have that loss than one that's really, really bad. Just going into the matchups, Lamar Jackson has finally woke up a little bit, while Danny is riding his new shiny Jordan Love ride. So great pickup by Danny, by the way. Running backs right now, big question marks right now. I think Kyron Williams is questionable this week. So interested in seeing.
Your mouth. You shut your whore mouth.
He'll be fine.
So we'll see.
Right?
We'll see how
He's gonna play. Evans probably won't play. Williams will play.
Evans is on bye anyway, so it kind of worked out.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so he definitely won't play.
So with Pollard, Gibbs, and possibly Akers, I'm not liking that. Versus the Golden Showers has Mostert.
What are you talking about? It's Pollard and Kyron Williams. I got and Gibbs is in my flex. You can't just bench Kyron Williams. He's in my starting lineup.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll see if
not if he's benched.
Anyway.
So we'll see. While the Golden Showers has Mostert, Rashid White, Zach Moss might be losing some value depending
Rashad
on
White's
John.
on bye.
Oh
John,
yeah,
you're
Rashad.
terrible. John,
All
you
right.
don't know what
I
you're
think
doing.
you're looking at week 4.
No, he's
Yeah.
looking at the right week, but he's not paying attention to whether guys are on bye or not on bye. He's mentally setting my lineup for me. He's like, oh, Kyron Williams is gonna miss the game because he's listed as questionable on a Tuesday.
I'm all for John guest appearance as your manager for the week. You make it like a charity thing.
Oh
no,
man.
it's crazy. His breakdown is nuts. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give him the edge on running backs. He's got the guy who's on a bye. Two
I
guys.
kind of like the
two guys on a
Benson
bye.
Williams idea.
2 of his 3 running backs are on a bye, and he was about to give the edge to Danny Mac.
Well, actually, I was going to say that.
Yeah, but if
right
you
now,
bench Williams, I would have the edge.
so right now that's a big question mark, but I'm going to give it to Sweep the Leg. I think he has the upper hand, but I did want to give you a heads up. This wide receiver, that's going to be the big factor here. We'll see if Christian Watson could come back. I think that's the big one for Sweep the Leg. While the Golden Showers has Lamb and the surprising Christian Kirk. And we'll figure out if he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be starting no Jordan Reed or Braden Cooks because they haven't done pretty much not much. And then tight end. How you feel about Hunter Henry over there? The Patriot. We haven't talked about this yet. The Patriots' offense is straight broken. Ugh.
Mac Jones is very, very bad. I think at some point they're going to have to go to Zappy, and then Hunter Henry will be fine.
Yeah, it's agreed.
That's fine. Her.
And of course, Danny, you have Travis Kelce, the guy that just got put on the map by Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
So, God for him.
You know that guy?
And for that is my key matchup of the week. Former champions going at it. Can Sweep the Leg get a winning record? And can the Golden Showers creep himself back into some winning ways?
I almost made the toilet bowl this week, PBJ versus Blumpkin. It's a J-Chuck division matchup between an 0-4 team and a 1-3 teams, both teams in severe trouble. Both managers know that their teams are in trouble. We're going to find out who these teams are now that their backs are against the wall. But I didn't want to be mean, so I didn't make this one the toilet bowl. But this is the game that I definitely would have made the toilet bowl if I made a toilet bowl, which I did not do.
No, you didn't at all.
No, I didn't want to make a game of toilet bowl this early in the season between 2 really obviously shitty teams and make them feel bad so soon. And, that would have been bad. So I didn't do that.
That would have been off-putting.
I didn't do that. It would have been bad. Anthony, what's your game that you're keeping an eye on this week? What's your key matchup?
This coming week, I have Run CMC 3-1 going against That's What She Said. 2 of the new guys going at it. We have a couple moves that have to be made on the roster here. T. Higgins is questionable on CMC side. Don't know if he's going to play, but we for the matchups is interesting, right? You have Tua going against the Giants, so he should have a field day.
Oh yeah,
Fields, and then it's for the running backs on the CMC side. Blow away the running backs on That's What She Said. Even though McCaffrey's going against that Dallas D and the Patriots defense is all right, but it's going to be interesting. I want which one of the new guys comes out on top. I'm interested to see.
Yeah, they're both. I think both teams are trying to prove that they're legitimate. That's What She Said is 2-2. They're trying to get over 500 and show that they're not just a soft winner. CMC is trying to prove they're not just CMC. You know what I mean? So I think both teams are trying to win some legitimacy with this matchup. Hey, Danny, what game are you keeping your eye on for your key matchup?
Anthony and our sweet boy Bobby.
Oh, baby, a Baldwin division rivalry. Go for it.
But I can't stop picking whatever game Bobby's in to talk about. And then it's like the 3rd week in a row. Hold on, Mike. It's loading very slowly. That's delightful. All right.
I can tell you that the bye weeks in this game and potential
I know Ann has a few. Herbert is out.
Yep.
It's going to have to pick up a quarterback. That's the only person out for you, right?
No, Godwin.
Godwin's also out. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. And then nobody's out. No. Did Bobby have anybody out?
Bobby has Gerald Everett out, his tight end, and he currently does not have another tight end on his roster, so he's gonna have to make a move there. And then
And
everybody else.
then you don't have a quarterback, right?
No, but I'll be able to muster through.
Yeah, I mean,
figure something out. And then the big question is, will Cooper Kupp play this week? I say no, but if he does, Anthony, do you put him in your lineup right away?
I don't think so. I think I wait this week regardless. Like if they put him in, saying they're putting him in, that's great news. But I think even though he's an insane freak, they got all that going on. I think they would kind of like slow work him in week 1, see what it is out there for like
Hopefully
real
he doesn't have a re-aggravation.
Right. And then I don't want to put him in, and then he does a Debo Samuel. He's like, all right, I one catch him out.
Right.
So I'd rather be able to put somebody that's going to throw at least a 10 and feel comfortable in his replacement, because my wide receivers, on the other hand, without him is still going to be fine.
Roger that. Yeah, I think the bye week moves is going to be interesting in this one. And I hope you both lose somehow this game, because you're both in my division. And the final matchup that we have to discuss is Stillwater going against the Chump. This is a 4-0 team versus an 0-4 team that will turn out a 5-0 team versus an 0-5 team. There is no clearer picture this week in the upcoming games than what's going to go down between Stillwater and the Chump. And I will bet money against anybody.
I think like 4 of his receivers outscores his team.
It's possible. It's certainly
yeah, very possible. Well, likely possible, however you want to phrase it.
Yep. And so that'll do it. That'll just about do it for this week's episode. I'll give you guys one stat of the week. This week's stat is that the Dallas Cowboys defense and special teams is the greatest defense and special teams of all times. It's the Doug Baldwin of defense and special teams. I'm going to wait a week and see what happens, guys. And I'll see you next week, where it's always Sunday.